Hello and welcome to this retrospective look back at Looking magazine from the 28th of May 1983. I'm RetroSteveUK, and in this video we're taking a detailed look, page by page and in full HD, at what's inside. We'll be sharing a few of our nostalgic memories in the featured comment segment, and for good measure I'll bung in a classic looking TV advert at the end. Looking was a children's TV magazine published in the 23 years between 1971 and 1994, with content covering TV shows from the national and local ITV channels of the time. I picked up this particular issue on eBay specifically for this video, and if you want to pick up copies for yourself you can expect to pay in the region of around £4 to £6 depending on the condition. Obviously Danger Mouse is a major feature of this issue, but there's a shed load of other content too, so as always, if you want to skip around to different parts of the magazine, feel free to use the chapter markers that I've placed along the video timeline. There are 32 pages in this issue of Lookin', starting of course with the front page, which teases us with the promise of a Human League colour centre, a Danger Mouse picture strip, and additional content including Michael Jackson, Starfleet, Athletics, Fall Guy, Murphy's Mob, Cannonball and more. We also get the vital statistics at the top right informing us that this is the Junior TV Times magazine number 22 for the week ending 28th of May and priced at 20p. And what's the first thing that hits us as we open the mag? A massive one of those stamp collection kit adverts that I'm always bagging on about. These were ubiquitous in kids publications at the time, offering free stuff if you send your details, but also signing you up and charging you for a membership. To be honest, these ads were way ahead of their time, as this kind of thing is a lot more common now in our current day and age. The intro page on the right, Here You Are, is one of a couple of places in the mag you can submit your own stuff for publication. Letters, drawings, photos and lookalike suggestions are the thing here, along with readers' birthdays, listed right alongside the celebrities who have birthdays on the same days. Rock on Tommy with Cannon and Ball sees the boys going to the horse races this week, Cannon and Ball obviously being one of the most famous TV comedy duos back in 1983. They get into a few slapstick comedy situations in this strip, but the standout moment has to be Tommy using his binoculars to perv over one of the fine fillies. Definitely a thing of its time, particularly for a kids comic. Switch On pages 6 and 7 is a TV news section starting on the left page with news about Bob Cowgies and Spit the Dog taking over the hosting duties on children's ITV's free time, Robin of Sherwood from HTV, go-karting on the Saturday morning TV show number 73, and an advertisement in comic strip form for Anglo Bubbly Bubblegum. Over on the right, penny farthing bikes on Channel 4's On Your Bikes, a one-off TV show from London Weekend Television about James Bond, and randomly, a photo of Spandau Ballet relaxing in Ibiza. A full-colour comic strip over on pages 8 and 9 features Colt Seavers as the Fall Guy, played on the TV show of course by Lee Majors, who also played Steve Austin in The $6 Million Man. This week's strip is the final part in a weekly serial, and this week Colt saves a young woman from a wild lion by using himself as a human decoy. The fun assortment section starts on the left here with an offer exclusive to Lookin' to order one of these Starfleet t-shirts for only £2.99, including postage and packing. We then get a column of jokes and a competition under that to win one of 50 Metal Mickey records and badges by sending in your answers to 5 Metal Mickey questions, which continue on the other page. The quick quiz features 10 TV-related and general knowledge questions, the answers to which can be found in the upside-down box just above the Metal Mickey coupon. There's a vertical comic strip about Tony Blackburn's dog for some reason, and the grey box on the far right contains a word puzzle which they've managed to make into a Smurf theme, and the answers to that are also in the upside-down box, which, if you can't read the page here, I'll pop up on screen briefly now. Murphy's Mob was a TV show about a group of young football fans supporting their local team, which ran from 1982 to 1985, with the theme tune famously sung by Gary Holton from Auf Wiedersehen Pet. In this week's strip, they've got themselves caught up with some criminals who are trying to avoid the police and stash some loot from a robbery. The What's On TV listings section is a favourite amongst some of my previous viewers who said they love looking through it and reminiscing about the TV shows that used to air in their local TV areas like Anglia, Central, Thames and Grampian for example, as well as the recently launched Channel 4, which is now included in these listings. This section is split between pages 14 and 19 either side of the pull-out poster pages, and begins here with a column on the left side featuring an article about Buster Bloodvessel's camping trip that's due to be featured in Saturday morning's episode of number 73. The listings themselves contain a wealth of memorable shows, but to name just a few highlights, I can see Metal Mickey, Number 73, Give Us a Clue, Cockleshell Bay, Razzmatazz, Knight Rider, Happy Days, Vicky the Viking, The Beverly Hillbillies and Free Time, most of which I'm sure will trigger vivid memories for a lot of you, and I'd love to hear about those memories in the comments if you feel inclined. The section concludes on the right here with What's Your View, which is a letters section with readers' thoughts about the latest TV shows. The letter from an 11-year-old Dimitrios Bagatellis in the bottom right there got me thinking. He's praising all the great content that's shown on Channel 4, but I can't help thinking it's a good job he never watched late night Channel 4, because if you remember it the way I do, they used to show some pretty saucy programmes late at night in those early days. Flipping back to before the Human League poster now, it's the start of an extended article about the Human League interviewing the lead singer Phil Oakey, and he talks about some of the band's experiences, filming music videos, how they cope with being famous, what life was like in the early days, and some of their interactions with other famous bands. And of course the colour centre poster, which I'll flip round for you to have a look at properly here before we move on. Starfleet gets a black and white strip over the page here now, and no, it's not the Starfleet from the Star Trek universe, but the puppet show that had been imported from Japan and translated to English, which was showing on British TV at the time, and was originally called X-Bomber in Japan. This week, Lamia, Dr. Ben and Kirara have been captured by the evil Commander Makara. To be honest, I never watched this programme, so I have no idea who those characters are, let alone how to pronounce them. This week's Sports Spotlight features info boxes about Britain's record-breaking athletic superstars, whose names you can see clearly featured on the pages here, but as I've never been much of a sports fan, the only names I can remember from the time are the first 4 on the left page, Daley Thompson, Seb Coe, Steve Ovett and Steve Cram, and 2 from the right page, Tessa Sanderson and Fatima Whitbread. I'm sure if you love your sports, particularly athletics, you'll remember all of these. I've only ever really been into snooker and darts. And the main event, it's Danger Mouse in his very own fabulously drawn full-colour cartoon strip. The wonderful characters from the 1981 cartoon series are immortalised here on these pages, and things seem to be turning a little spooky as the evil Baron Greenback and his henchman Stiletto and pet caterpillar Nero are using an infernal ray to bring characters from a book of ghastly horror stories to life. Of course, Danger Mouse and his faithful sidekick Penfold defeat the creatures and happily report their victory to their very pleased boss, Colonel K. I absolutely love this full-page advert for Colgate Blue Minty Gel, and for those of you who nostalgically yearn for that minty blue freshness from the 80s, you'll be pleased to hear it's still available, just in a different package. Colgate Fresh Gel is a thing now, and I can confirm it's out there in the wild as I saw some on a shop shelf only last week. The Colgate promo is offering competition prizes of 16 Atari video game systems, TV set not included, 24 Sony cassette recorders, and 60 Kodak disc cameras. Seriously, I challenge you to name anything that's more 80s than that list of prizes. There's also a free Colgate paint set included with every twin pack of Blue Minty Gel, and to win those fabulous prizes you'll need to use your free paint set to paint a poster. It doesn't say what of, but it does say that all the details are on the pack, so I guess we can cut them some slack for that. Over on the right in the special selection segment, there's a short story to read in this promo for a book called Super Ghosts, written by Mark Ronson, illustrated by Robin Laurie and published by Beaver. The story on the page here is an extract from that book. The final comic strip in this issue is an account of the ongoing adventures of pop band Bucks Fizz, in the curious case of the missing envelope. Sounds riveting. Basically this week, Cheryl Baker has dropped the envelope containing all the plans for their upcoming dance routines. Never mind guys, I'm sure if you just make something up on the fly, no one will notice. The last 2 pages before the back cover, and it's the look around section, which, as well as having another one of those stamp adverts stuck down in the bottom left, contains an apology for a mistake in this year's holiday special, a list of competition winners in that tiny little box above the stamp advert, a small article detailing the musical youth pop band's fan club, details about 2 events for horse fans, a medieval jousting tournament at Belvoir, or is it Beaver? Belvoir Castle in Grantham, and the famous grouse carriage driving championships at Scone, or is it Scone Palace in Perthshire. That video game section is showing off Casio's GG9 electronic wristwatch with a built-in golf game which, let's face it, is super nostalgic now and priced back then at £19.99. The black column down the right side is Free Time with Mick Robertson, which is a tie-in with the TV show of the same name, and we get the answers to a pop video competition that was on last week's episode, and details about a school trip on a cruise boat that will be shown on upcoming episodes of Free Time. The force is with next week's Look In, as we're given a sneak peek at what's in store, and we can look forward to a return of the Jedi Colour Center, and I have to admit I'm excited about that even now. There's a look at next week's cover in tiny miniature form, a competition to win of 30 Alien Chase electronic games, and I had to do a fair bit of work tarting up this image of the game box, so I'll waffle on here for a few seconds so you can appreciate that. A Duran Duran collector page, which is generally featured on the back cover, a volleyball-centric sports spotlight, plus all your regular favourites. And that collector page I just mentioned a minute ago is the back page feature, with Michael Jackson as the focus. It's a cut out and keep fact file with a picture of the star himself, plus vital statistics listed down the side, including birth date, height, weight, and other useless information that you might find interesting, like hobbies, pets, likes and dislikes. And these special pages are great if you don't mind vandalising your copies of Look In, but for our benefit now in 2025, I'm really glad that the original owner of this mag wasn't a Michael Jackson fan. And that brings us to the end of this copy of Look In magazine from the 28th of May 1983. I asked for your comments about Look In general and the specific contents of this issue, and here's what a few of you had to say. Over on Instagram, Neil Poole at Nellyfet remembers reading Look In for a while before swapping over to the Beano. I remember having a similar experience to this after I reached a certain age, only I carried on reading both, and instead of the Beano I used to read Buster Comic, which I preferred because I thought it had much more interesting characters and stories. From the community post tab on my YouTube channel, Workshop Antics at Fixit2112 used to get the mag as a kid. He still has a few annuals from back in the day and remembers the free 7-inch flexi-disc of Crush on You by the Jets that came with one particular issue. He mainly got Look In for the Knight Rider strip every week. Starfleet was another favourite, which is now in his DVD box set collection. David Lake Burns managed to get a Danger Mouse picture strip that he'd drawn himself published in the magazine on the letters page. He kept the issue but lost track of it in a house move. However, he remembers it was an issue with a light blue cover featuring Shakin' Stevens, so I was able to search through about 8 issues I had access to featuring Shaky on the cover, but sadly David's strip didn't show up. It would have been nice to share it here, but alas, it wasn't meant to be. Alan Pryor thinks Look In was great, but graduated to buying Smash Hits at the age of 12. Smash Hits was another one I remember buying as I progressed into my teens and started showing more of an interest in pop music. It was great for getting hold of the lyrics from popular chart songs, as we had no internet back then and no other way of looking up what those mystery words were in the songs that were sung by mumbling pop stars. Dave Richards reckons this issue was out before he started getting Look In regularly. The Danger Mouse strip was a staple for many years, and he remembers reading that well into the 80s, and the Cannon and Ball strip kept going for a while too. Blue Minty Gel also came up in the conversation, which always seems to elicit feelings of nostalgia in many of us who were kids back then. Colgate did a great job of flogging us that toothpaste. Not a bad thing though, I suppose. And finally, El Ritmo brings up memories of a few items from this issue of Look In, particularly the Cosgrove Hall production, Danger Mouse, and they also produced kids shows including Count Duckula, Cockleshell Bay and Wind in the Willows. He loved everything about Danger Mouse, the characters, the voice work, the opening animation, the puns and catchphrases, and he's happy to have them living in his head rent-free. Memories of Starfleet also sprang to mind, and of Commander Makara being super scary, and the Blue Minty Gel comes up again with memories of that advert that resembled baggy trousers by Madness. You know, with so much mention of that toothpaste, I think I might have to bung that advert in at the end as well as a bonus. If this particular issue of Look In has triggered any dormant memories for you, go ahead and post about it in the comments and we can chat about it there. And if you'd like to be featured in a future Retrospectives video, follow me on my various social media platforms where I'll be asking for your comments whenever I'm working on something new. You'll find all the links in the video description. We'll finish up now with that classic 1987 Look In TV advert that I mentioned earlier, but first I'd like to thank everyone who shared their comments, to thank you for liking and subscribing, and of course to thank you all for watching Retrospectives.
Don't miss this week's Look In and collect more free stickers for your Short Circuit album. Look In is tops for TV with all your favourites, pop stars and the big names in sport and entertainment. It's the weekly magazine that's got the lot. So don't miss Look In this week with free Short Circuit stickers.
Morning time when we're awake, brush our teeth with new Colgate. Colgate Blue Minty Gel, Colgate Blue Minty Gel. It's a brilliant new toothpaste, like the colour, love the taste. I've got Blue Minty Gel, Mum and Dad use it as well. Oh, what fun we'll have! Squeeze it on and off we go. Brushing twice a day is good for teeth, as we all know how we love the taste. It's from Colgate, we can tell. Who believes having such fun was doing lots of good as well.
Colgate New Blue Minty Gel. You'll love it. Nobody's working harder than Colgate for zero fillings.